Hello, everyone. I'm Qipeng Yan, Assistant Professor at Michigan State University. Today, I'm glad to present our work, Cyber Threat Intelligence Modeling, based on Heterogeneous Graph Convolutional Network. This is a joint work of Beihang University and Michigan State University. In this work, we develop a new cyber threat intelligence computing framework to expose the hidden relationships among different threat actors. In recent years, cyber attacks are becoming increasingly sophisticated with the emergence of advanced persistent threat, zero-day, and various phishing attacks. Traditional safeguards such as firewall, signature registry, and IDS can hardly prevent these novel types of attacks. Moreover, there's a lack of proactive defense in traditional protection systems. To better protect computer systems, Cyber Threat Intelligence, or CTI, has been proposed. CTI consists of the indicator of compromise, or IOC, such as IP addresses, file names, or hashes. CTI allows organizations to expand their visibilities into the faster-growing threat landscape, which enables early prevention of suspicious threats. Therefore, more and more organizations have adopted CTIs. CTI has created a thriving multi-billion-dollar market. Established security companies with roots in antivirus software or network IDS are now providing threat intelligence for sale. IOCs can be extracted from different data sources such as exploit database, security blogs, social networks, and so on. However, existing threat intelligence studies have several major challenges. First, the accuracy of IOC extraction is pretty low. This leads to the omission of critical cyber threat objects. Therefore, how to accurately extract IOCs from multi-source texts? This is the first challenge that we want to solve. Second, existing isolated CTI cannot provide a comprehensive landscape of threat events. In this example, we can see traditional IOCs provide individual threat fields for different IOC entities, while their relationship is largely neglected. More importantly, the relationship among different IOCs has not been established in traditional CTI platforms. For example, what is the relationship between two vulnerabilities? Are they targeting the same platform or the same devices? Therefore, establishing and modeling the interactive relationship between heterogeneous IOCs is crucial to reveal a complete threat landscape. And our work tries to establish such a relationship between IOCs. Another major challenge is that there's a lack of effective computing framework to measure the interactive relationships among heterogeneous IOCs, such as malware, IP addresses, vulnerabilities. As a result, how to quantify, establish, and explore the interactive relationship among heterogeneous IOCs is what this work will address. Before we delve into our proposed system, let me walk you through a motivating example. Here we are given a security-related post. So last week, Lotus exploited CVE 2017 to affect a larger number of Vista SP2 and Windows 7 SP devices in Iran. CVS 2017 is a remote code execution vulnerability, including a malicious file, SMB.bat. Most of the existing CTI framework can extract specific IOCs, but they neglect the relationships among them. It is obvious that such IOCs could not draw a comprehensive picture of the threat landscape. Much more valuable information from the security description is missing. Here, we provide our solution, Our solution is called HINTI, Heterogeneous Information Network of Threat Intelligence. HINTI is proposed to model and analyze CTIs. Specifically, HINTI implements a multi-granular attention-based IOC recognition to boost the accuracy of IOC extraction. Then, HINTI leverages heterogeneous information network to model the interdependent relations among heterogeneous IOCs. Finally, we propose a novel CTI computing framework to uncover novel security insights. This diagram shows the framework of HINTI, which contains 4 major components, including data collection and IOC recognition, relation extraction and HINTI construction, meta-passes-based similarity measuring, and CTI intelligence computing, and knowledge mining. The whole system spans from the raw data collection to security knowledge mining. This work aims to leverage heterogeneous information network to model the interactive relationships among IOCs, and uses heterogeneous graph convolutional network to quantify these relationships. Now let's revisit our motivating example. HINTI aims to implement a computational CTI framework. It can not only extract IOC or CTI efficiently, but also model and quantify the relationships between them. Here, we use this motivating example to illustrate how HINTI works. First, the security-related post is annotated by a sequence tagging method to annotate each word, including the CTI entities. The labeled training samples are then fed into a multi-granular-based IOC extraction system to extract IOCs, which can accurately identify and extract IOCs, such as those highlighted information. HINTI will then utilize the syntactic dependency parser to extract associated relationships between IOCs. Each of the relationship is represented by a triple. For example, in this example, HINTI extracts the relationship triple, such as the Lotus exploits the vulnerability. The vulnerability affects Vista SP2. Then the extracted relational triples are incrementally pulled into a heterogeneous information network. Now, HINTI integrates a CTI computing framework based on heterogeneous graph convolutional network to effectively quantify the relationships among IOCs for knowledge discovery. Particularly, HINTI characterizes IOCs and their relationships in a low-dimensional embedding space. With the learned IOC embedding by this CTI computing framework, CTI subscribers can use classification methods and clustering algorithms to gain new threat insights, such as predicting which attackers are likely belong to the same group, or identifying which vulnerability belong to the same category without any expert knowledge. In summary, this work makes the following major contributions. First, we propose multi-granular attention-based IOC recognition method, which can accurately and effectively extract cyber threat entities from multi-source threat description data. Second, we model different types of IOCs using heterogeneous information network, which introduces various meta-passes to capture the interdependent relationship among IOCs. Third, we present the concept of threat intelligence computing and design a general computing framework to quantify the interdependent relationships among IOCs. Next, I will introduce our system design in detail. First, to extract IOCs from the threat descriptions, we propose a multi-granular attention-based IOC extraction method. As we all know, The threat texts usually contain a large number of threat objects with different lengths and irregular structures. For example, we have those 1 gram threat factor, and 2 gram threat actor, or 3 gram threat actor. As a result, we need an efficient method to learn those distinctive characteristics of IOCs with different sizes. Particularly, this diagram presents the proposed IOC extraction framework, which leverages the multi-granular attention mechanism to characterize IOCs. Here, we introduce new word embedding features with different granularities to capture the characteristics of IOCs with different sizes. Moreover, we utilize a self-attention mechanism to learn the importance of the features and give more weights to more important features to further improve the accuracy of IOC extraction. In order to model the interactive relationships among different types of IOCs, we implement heterogeneous information network for threat intelligence. In this work, we model 6 different types of threat entities, including file, vulnerability, attacker, platform, device, and attack types. Moreover, we consider 9 types of important interactive relationships. Based on them, we introduce 17 types of metapasses to describe semantic relationships among heterogeneous IOCs. In this figure, we show a network instance that is built by following the network schema. Here we give an example of the metapass. So this is P4, metapass AVAT. It shows that 2 attackers uses the same vulnerability. With those metapasses, we can measure the similarity between any 2 IOCs. Now we introduce the concept of threat intelligence computing and provide a general threat intelligence computing framework. The threat intelligence computing aims to model the semantic relationships between IOCs and measure their similarity based on metapasses. Here we show the workflow of threat intelligence computing, which mainly includes 3 modules. More specifically, step 1, we do a similarity measuring, which aims to obtain the similarity adjacency matrix between any 2 IOCs based on different metapasses and metagraphs. In step 2, we mainly perform layer-wise graph convolutional network to explore the interactive patterns between IOCs. This can more effectively characterize different types of IOCs based on structural and attributed information. Here we give a brief introduction to the graph convolutional neural network model. The GCN transfer the idea of convolutional neural network to graph data to learn the local pattern of the graph data. By applying a nonlinear activation function, GCN explores the structural relation of graph and attribute information of nodes to embed the nodes to the graph into low-dimensional vector space, which can then be used for downstream tasks. Currently, GCN has been widely used in node classification, clustering, linear prediction, and so on. Here, we use GCN to characterize and quantify the interactive patterns between IOCs. In step 3, the threat intelligence computing aims to use the learned embedded features to perform specific applications such as vulnerability similarity analysis, IOC classification, threat relationship prediction, and so on. For more details on the CTI computing, please refer to our paper. For experimental evaluation, we develop a threat data collector to automatically collect cyber threat data from a set of sources, including 73 international security blogs, security bulletins, CVE detail descriptions, and so on. We set up a daemon to collect the newly generated security events every day for 4 months. So far, more than 240,000 security-related data describing threat events have been collected. The whole CTI dataset includes threat data from 2012 to 2019, and we'll make it public for downloading. For training and evaluating our proposed IOC extraction method, 30,000 samples have been annotated using an automated tool. And then we randomly select 60% of the annotated samples as a training set and 20% of the samples as a verification set, the rest of samples as our test set. Based on the data set, we evaluate the performance of Hinti for extracting IOC and threat intelligence computing. First, let's look at the IOC extraction accuracy. Here, we extract 13 major types of IOCs. Overall, our IOC extraction method demonstrates excellent performance in terms of precision, recall, and F measure for most of types of IOCs. However, we observe a performance degradation when recognizing software and malware. This can be attributed to the fact that most software and malware is named by random strings such as MD5 hash, which increases the difficulty of IOC extraction. Moreover, we find that the number of training samples impacts the performance of model. Specifically, the performance becomes unsatisfactory when the number of certain number of training samples becomes low. Now we evaluate the IOC entity recognition performance. We compare it with state-of-the-art entity recognition method. Our method outperforms those existing methods. This can be attributed to the following factors. First, our method brings in multi-granular embedding sizes to simultaneously learn the characteristics of different sizes of threat actors. Second, we use attention mechanism to learn the importance of features, which improves the accuracy. We also evaluate 8 hyperparameters that seriously impact the performance of the model. With these parameter settings, our IOC extraction method performs well since it leverages the attention mechanism to learn different sizes of features to characterize different IOCs. Now let's look at the first application of threat intelligence computing, attack preference modeling. Attack preference indicates the similarity of attackers on the platform the attacker destroys, or the industry the attacker attacks, or the exploit types they use. This can help build attacker portrait. We first leverage our proposed threat intelligence computing framework to embed each attack node into a low-dimensional vector space. And then we use DBSCAN clustering method on the embedding vector to cluster attackers with the same preference into corresponding groups. These figures show the top 3 clustering results under different metapasses. To verify the effectiveness of attack preference modeling, we identify more than 5,000 distinctive attackers. For these attackers, we manually annotate their attack preferences from 3 perspectives: the platforms they destroy, the industries they attacked, and the attack types they exploited. To ensure the accuracy of data labeling, we test the consistency of the tags for the 5,000 attackers and remove the samples with ambiguous tags. Obviously, different metapasses display different abilities in characterizing the attack preference of cyber intruders. We find that the performance using P17 is more superior than the one with other metapasses. This indicates that P17 holds more valuable information that characterize the attack preferences of cyber criminals. We then studied the vulnerability similarity analysis application by leveraging our proposed threat intelligence computing model to embed each vulnerability score vulnerability node into a lower dimension vector space. And then we perform DBSCAN again on the embedded vector to cluster the vulnerabilities into corresponding groups. The results show that all vulnerabilities are clustered into 12 clusters using the meta path VDPDV. This is close to the classification standard recommended by CVE Details. To further validate the effectiveness of intelligence computing model in vulnerability similarity analysis, we randomly select 100 vulnerabilities from each cluster to manually inspect the consistency of the vulnerability type in each cluster. Obviously, the cluster performance of cluster 8 and cluster 10 is remarkably worse than other clusters. We examined our training data and the computing framework. We found that the proportion of those two types of vulnerabilities is significantly lower. This will make our computing framework very likely to be underfit with insufficient data. However, the proposed computing framework performs well on other types of vulnerabilities. We envision that the performance of clustering will improve with more data samples on each vulnerability category. In conclusion, we propose a new direction of threat intelligence computing to uncover security insights from threat descriptions. We propose Hinti to model and quantify the relationship among different types of IOCs with heterogeneous graph convolutional network. We present a generic cyber threat intelligence computing framework. Finally, we showcase the capability of computing framework in threat profiling, attack preference modeling, and vulnerability similarity analysis. How to implement security threat prediction is quite challenging. In future, we are going to study the model prediction, for example, to predict whether a vulnerability will impact a particular type of devices. In this work, we make the entire CTI dataset available through this link. Please contact us for more details. We welcome fellow researchers to work on threat intelligence computing problems. In our lab at Michigan State University, we are recruiting graduate students. Thank you very much. We are happy to take any questions.